All right, guys, so we're going to break down a lot of the basic body mechanics that will build up into the building blocks of what we're doing for the tech of the week. So I want to make sure when I say certain things that everybody understands exactly what I'm talking about and has a chance to break these movements down into their component parts, because until you can do the component parts, it doesn't make sense to build them back up. So the first one I'm going to use a lot is level change. And one of the things we can do to talk about level change is a lot of people think a level change is just kind of bending over like this because their head changed level. What really matters is that my hips change level, right? So a lot of people then think, okay, well, I can do a squat, right? Which is technically correct, but it's not very fast. So what I would encourage you all to do in your warm-up time and maybe time before class is to practice level changes by changing the way you think about them a little bit. Instead of feet out and dropping your hips, I want you to think about raising your knees up to your chest and letting gravity do the work, right? So instead of doing a squat like we normally do, I'm thinking about bringing my knees up to my chest, creating an angle, and then let my gravity drop my hips down like this, and then I'm coming right back up. So go 10 of these real quick. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is small hops, because that's the other way you can kind of think of a level change, and this is one of Bango's warm-up drills. We're down here with our heels as close to our butt as we can, and we're hopping around. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a little bit older. My knees aren't exactly what they used to be. For a lot of young guys, that's not a big problem. So for some of us who might not be as flexible or as spry, level change like this is fine. But if you can, you should think about level changes down to these small hops and then back up like that. All right, so the next one we want to be able to break down is a lot of people are struggling with getting to the duck walk, which is a component of getting to the full shot. And so the way I teach this, especially to a lot of the folks who are struggling with it, is you want to think of this as starting out with a walking lunge. All right, so we're right angle here, right angle here. We want to be able to reliably do this. If we can get that back knee to the ground, that's the start. All right, that's one of the component movements. Now, to build that up to a duck walk, what I see a lot of times is people get to this lunge position and they think, all right, I got to put this front knee down. So what I see a lot is people maintaining this right angle and being all off balance and doing this. And especially they're leaning forward and they're not reducing this space at all. So as I build up to a duck walk, what I want to think is I want to maintain my posture, my head over my hips, my elbows in. And what a lot of people are missing is driving off this back leg to make this space between my butt and my heel as small as possible before I try to put my knee down. So head up, back straight. I'm driving off of this back leg to make this space between my heel and my butt as small as possible. Once my heel is as close as it can be, then I touch this down. Again, I'm not leaning over because this is where people get all off balance. I want to keep my head over my hips. As long as my head are over my hips, I'm going to be fine. Now this leg is going to come around. A lot of people start dragging this, which is counterproductive for a couple of reasons, not the least of which you're going to get horrible mat burn. I have active toes the whole time. I'm going to kind of circle this around like this, and I'm going to repeat the process. Now this is my back leg. I drive off this leg, make this space as small as possible. Good posture around. So that's the duck walk. Okay? Now, where that gets into a full shot, I'm here. I take a penetrating step. That's my walking lunge. I reduce this space, come around here. Now, instead of continuing the duck walk for a full shot, I'm going to drive sideways off this leg, like so. Now this becomes my penetrating step. I make this space as small as possible. I come forward, this one comes around, and I penetrate off that leg, or I drive off that leg. Thanks. The drill we're going to be doing to get ready for this week is the sit-out drill. This is something that takes a little bit of time for a lot of people to get, but it is absolutely crucial to a lot of the tech we're going to be doing in terms of escapes for both wrestling and BJJ. So the key is, a lot of people start off hands and knees. All right, I don't want to hands and knees. I want to be hands and feet, and this takes a little bit of core strength. And a lot of people struggle with the concept of opposites and maintaining their balance here. So really what I want to do is I want to pick a hand and the opposite foot, and those come off the mat. Now this leg that's off the mat transitions to where that hand was, and I drop my butt, I'm looking straight up. And if I have proper form, I'm able to maintain my balance for a little bit. I'm gonna come back, do the opposite. I'm gonna take the other hand up, opposite foot up, and I sit through, and I'm able to look up at the ceiling. If my belly button is pointed at the ceiling, I've rotated through properly, and it's gonna be much easier to maintain the balance. A lot of people are afraid to commit to this. They end up doing this, and their balance is not great, their core strength is not great, and they have a tough time. Commit and go all the way through and look up. It's gonna be much easier. So this is what the sit-up drill should look like. Notice I'm looking up every chance I get. That'll be one of the building blocks for what we do later on this week. All right, one last core principle that we talk about. These are Bango's rules of wrestling. Without any of these, a lot of what we're gonna be doing this week, you're gonna suffer, and it's gonna put you in a not a great position. So we always wanna think head up, eyes up. If you're ever at a point where you're looking down at the mat and your head is down, you're gonna be with the one that's going down. So we always want head up. We want our back straight, okay? If we're ever shooting over like this with our back curled like a cat, it's gonna be a tough day. If we want to change our level, we're not bending over at the waist, we're not curling our back, we're keeping our back straight, we're dropping our level with dropping our hips and bearing our weight with our legs, okay? These straight legs are no good. And the last one is hips in. All right, when you see people who are doing deadlifts or squats, right? If they lower the level by keeping their legs straight and shooting their hips out like this, you know, it's gonna be a lot tougher, and they're lifting with their back. I want to be hips in and lifting up with my legs every chance I get. So rules of wrestling, head up, back straight, hips in. We'll be talking about that over and over again. All right, thanks. All right, so the first set of warm-up drills we're gonna do this week is the scarecrow drill. So my man Mike here is being a great partner. He's standing tall and proud. He's giving me lots of room. And the point is here is we're learning the proper distance management for our shots, okay? So just like in striking, I wanna know how far away Mike is. So if I take my shot from out here, I'm gonna get sprawled on all day, it's gonna be no good, okay? So ideally, I want him about arm's length, okay? If I can judge that with my eyes, that's fine. But we're really gonna be successful with just taking a shot without setting it up. So whether we're posting, or clapping and going, or doing something up here to distract him, I wanna be able to know that he's about arm's length away, okay? So once I have the right distance, my lead leg takes a bit of a step. Now, as I drop my level with my head up and my back straight, okay? I need to make sure that this lead leg penetrates this plane. Imagine there's a piece of glass between his legs. If my knee does not break that piece of glass, it's probably gonna be a horrible shot, and I'm probably gonna get sprawled on. So I wanna make sure that as I go, I'm taking that big step. As I change my level with my back up and my back straight, head up, that knee penetrates. See, that drove him back a little bit. Now, for the purposes of this drill, we're making sure we get this connection. I'm coming around, head up. I'm just coming in, then we're gonna do the other side. Measure my distance, take my step, break the plane, head up, back straight, hips in, and coming around. We're gonna do that over and over and over again, okay? Now, that's gonna evolve into the shot and lift drill, okay? So, same concept, I manage my distance, I take my shot, I come in. Now, instead of just coming around now, I'm gonna control Mike's legs, okay? If I get this is okay. All right, it's even better if I can link up somehow. If I can get at his butt or below, this is gonna be much better. We can get my grips however I can get them. And now, if I just lift up from this lunge position, that's okay. But I might need to drive sideways a little bit. So I come up to this full squat position, then I can lift with both legs, okay? So, a good shot, I link up, I drive sideways a little bit to come up to that full squat position. I lift, take 3 steps, drop them, and then I take a shot with the other leg. Measure my distance, wait for the pain, drive sideways a little bit, come up to my both legs, lift, and drop. Okay, so the first trick we're gonna do is the bash and turn. And we rarely wanna do things right off the first. So we're usually gonna try to set up in at least 3, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm getting a collar tie on Mike with one hand, and we get my inside control with this gooseneck on the other hand. So when I say collar tie, I'm taking my forearm, I'm putting it in his collarbone so I can push, and this hand is going up here at the top of his head so I can pull. Okay, that's what this hand is doing. So I'm bashing and pulling. This hand is coming in and I'm trying to get this connection here between his tricep and his shoulder, ideally with these 2 fingers. And I'm wrapping my forearm around so I get this gooseneck position so I can pull and push here. Okay, now as I do that, I'm bashing and pulling one way, okay? Now I'm gonna bash and pull the other way. I'm gonna bash and pull the other way. That way I'm making Mike move with these hops, okay? If I'm just yanking him with my arms, that's okay. But ideally I'm combining that with moving my own feet. Okay, notice I'm not really dropping my hips yet, but I'm making him pay attention to these moves. I'm making him move because I move. Now we're gonna do that a bunch of times. 1, 2, 3, one side, other side, other side. And the third one, we're gonna combine that with that level change we talked about. And that's gonna end up being a snap down, okay? Your partner's gonna do 1 of 2 things off that snap down. They're gonna post out like this, or if you do it assertively enough, they're gonna go down to that full turtle position. So just for the drill, we're doing bash and turn, bash and turn, bash and turn, right? And on the third one, we're doing the level change. So that's gonna look like bash and turn, snap down. All right, great. All right, so we're gonna go over what happens after that snap down. All right, so like we talked about, that snap down, people are gonna end up in this, posted out position, if not a full turtle. What do we do from here? All right, so I got that bash, I got that snap down, I ended up with my level change, okay? Now, I'm gonna pick a side, and it's usually, I prefer my right side, but it doesn't really matter, I want you to practice both. I'm gonna come under and grab up under Mike's armpit by his tricep, like we talked about with the arm drag. It's the same concept, okay? Now with that same side knee, I'm gonna then touch that knee down and turn and pivot on that knee. And the reason I'm grabbing this, right, is because as Mike is down, he knows I want to come behind. He's gonna be trying to grab my legs to prevent that from happening. I need to make sure I have something to stop him from locking his hands around my leg. So ideally I'm pulling nice and assertively here. I'm controlling him, okay? So that he can't grab those legs. This knee is gonna come down into this space here. I'm going to pivot, and as I do, I'm coming hip to hip and ending up in this good position here, okay? This is the position I wanna end up in. My hand controlling Mike's hip, my elbow down. This connection here, hip to hip, is what matters, okay? So if I'm leaving space here, I'm giving Mike chances to sit out and to counter. So I wanna make sure I'm making him carry my weight. I don't want to overcommit. My elbow placement is key. If my elbow placement is here on this side of the hip, I'm generally speaking pretty good. If I'm over here, I'm putting myself in danger. We'll get into that later, okay? I still wanna have control over this arm, okay? So from this angle, where you're at, I do it with a snap down. I'm coming across and I'm grabbing that arm drag. This knee is gonna go into this space. I'm going to pivot on this knee to come around. I'm controlling hip to hip, controlling his hip here, elbow down, posting here. All right, because of my cameraman Jake, we're redoing this one. Okay, so in this scenario, we got the snap down. Mike didn't end up in the full turtle on his knees, but he's posted up like this, okay? So I'm here for my level change. Same thing, I'm gonna arm drag. I'm still gonna rotate over to the side, and I'm here, Jake, come right here. So once I'm here to the side, just like we talked about singles last week, I'm making this connection. I'm bumping Mike this way because he's gonna try to stand up as quickly as he can. And as he goes to stand up, I'm gonna bump and drive to my single leg position. Just like we talked about last week. Ideally, I want my head armpit to sternum as he stands up. If my head goes on the outside, I put myself in danger of the guillotine. So I want to make sure that, again, if my back's all arched like this It's no good. I want to have hips in, head up. I want that connection. I want my back straight so that all his weight's over here. Okay, so again, Mike's in that snap down position. He posted, but he didn't go all the way around. I'm controlling that arm, the arm drag. I'm coming over, I'm making a connection in his ribs with my forehead. I'm driving him that way to put his weight here. I'm putting myself in that single leg position we practiced last week. This last one, I did my snap down entry, bash, 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 level change, and Mike's gonna posture up right away. Okay, so what that's gonna look like is I bash, 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 level change, and he postures up, and he's gonna posture up pretty strongly. I need to make sure that as he goes up, I stay down, and then we do that shot drill where I step forward, I penetrate, and I come around with my head up and my hips in. So Jake, you're over here. All right, so from this angle, what this is gonna look like, I bash, 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 level change, he postures up, I penetrate, head up, back straight, hips in. Okay, from here, I'm just gonna control the legs. I'm gonna drive off this leg laterally this way, okay? I need to make sure that my head has contact with his ribs, and I'm driving and I'm finishing with my legs, okay? A lot of times we get to this position, and people keep their leg back here, like he's not going anywhere, because this leg didn't follow around, and their hips are out and their head is down. I'm never gonna have much power here. All he has to do is put his hand on the back of my neck and sprawl. Now I'm the one in bad trouble, okay? So you need to make sure, hips in, back up, this foot comes around and I'm driving this way. It's great if I can clasp the legs. All I really need to do is make it so that he cannot move this way with his legs as I drive him that way. So if I don't control the legs and I just drive, he can stand up. If I control the legs and he drives, he's gonna go down. I might have to run a little bit, but it's gonna happen. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about 3 different mat returns from that double leg position, okay? So the first one, especially if I wasn't able to get my head to the side, but I got that penetrating step and this knee didn't come around, I wanna make sure my forehead is right in my sternum. This is called the blast double, okay? I wanna push very strongly back that way while I'm forehead in and pulling his legs in here. I'm doing a row motion, okay? It's very important that this partner break falls and doesn't try to post and stop themselves. So I'm here, I got to that shot, my forehead's right in his sternum. I'm preventing his legs from sprawling out, and I'm driving him straight back, okay? That's the blast double, okay? The next finish we're gonna do is I got that full penetration, I'm off to the side, where we talked about going laterally. I'm controlling the leg, I'm driving here, and I'm pushing with my head laterally. Okay? That's option number 2. Option number 3 is I got that full shot. I'm able to clasp my hands up, I drive laterally, come up to both feet. It's the shot and lift. And from here, you have a ton of options. The one we're gonna do this week is just we're gonna turn sideways. I'm gonna use this inside leg to help a little bit. I'm gently gonna set Mike down, okay? Very important that the person going down doesn't try to stop the fall. We wanna be safe, okay? We want to make sure we keep our arms crossed. So that last one again. Shot, full penetration, up. I'm driving sideways to come up to both legs. I'm squatting and lifting. I'm turning with my head. I'm assisting with my legs, and I'm controlling the fall. Good, thanks. So for the intermediate tech, we're doing counters to those double leg shots. All right, so in this example, Mike's gonna shoot on me, and I know it's coming. I have to make sure I get my arms inside, at least one arm, okay? Before he's able to control both my legs, I want to extend my hips back, and I'm trying to get my sternum over his shoulders to force his head to look down. Okay, so that's the sprawl. Now, this is exactly the same position as we ended up as if I hit the step down, and now he's in turtle, okay? So the finish is gonna be exactly the same. One of the arms that comes in is gonna come across to control the tricep, just like I'm doing that arm drag. Knee comes up, I put my knee where my arm is, penetrate, and I'm finishing that hip to hip position. All right, so one more time. Mike's in here, he was shot. I block, I sprawl. Now he's down in that turtle position. That arm that's in defending. Grabs the tricep. I finish hip to hip. Nice and tight. Okay? Next one is a variation on that, where if I don't want to come hip to hip, I didn't get him to go to full turtle on the sprawl. He's still up on his hands and knees. He's still fighting, right? So Mike shoots, I sprawl, and he's on his hands and knees like this. So just like we did before from the snap down, I control the arm. I come around, my head is connected to his ribs. I drive, and I come up to the single, just like we did all last week. Okay? Yes, sir. Another option, he snaps, he goes down. Boom, doom. So Jake, I want you to come over here for this one. Okay? So, I get that full, control the arm, and I come around these 90 degrees. Okay? I've still got him down, and I want to take advantage of this situation. So now the arm that's across his face, I'm going to cross face hard. I'm going to search for this elbow here, and I'm going to try to pull that in. I've taken this post away. I want to take him in that direction towards that post. Jake, come over here real quick. This hand, I want to get control of this leg somehow, and I want to pull this up as I drive that with my legs. Okay, so I've got control. The power here comes from my legs, not my arms. Okay, I'm up on my toes, I'm driving, and I'm lifting. Okay, I can get that shoulder of justice and check the hip right from here. All right, so one more time. Mike shoots, I sprawl, and I got him down here. Arm drag, I come to this 90-degree position. I'm cross-facing, I'm controlling the elbow, I'm dragging him as much as I can. This hand grabs his leg, I'm driving off my toes in that direction while lifting up on this leg to come to my side control position. Nice. Let me know when you're ready. All right, I done messed up. Mike got the full takedown on me. He's got me in hip to hip. All right, this is bad news. All right, I've got to do something about this. I can't hang out here. Okay, now in this instance, maybe he's overcommitted, or maybe I've reached and I grabbed his wrist and dragged him in. Either way, the key is controlling this elbow. Okay, if this elbow is on this side of my body, past my spine, I have a chance at this. All right, so whether or not he overcommitted and put himself there, or I grabbed the wrist and I put it there myself. The key is this elbow. And I need to make sure that he can't pull it back. All right, so I need to make sure this is nice and tight. All right, now, if you're significantly bigger than your opponent, you can get away from just rolling over this leg here. But if they're even close to the same size as you, you've got to take this as your fulcrum and you've got to move it as close to them as you can. Now, the way I like to do that is I donkey kick this leg out as far as I can, and then I move this fulcrum as close to that knee as I can. Now, as I commit to this shoulder roll here, it's much more likely he's gonna go. I need to make sure I have connection with this foot the whole time. Now I'm gonna do my bridge and turn, come across to my side control, right? I'm here, I'm a little more advanced, I can come right to the butcher. We'll get to that later though. All right, so one more time. Mike's got me in hip to hip. Whether he's overcommitted or I dragged it there myself, I got control of this elbow. I'm taking this fulcrum, I'm putting it as close to him as I can by donkey kicking this straight out, taking this in, shoulder rolling over this shoulder. Now all my weight is on this leg, doing my bridge and turn, checking the hip, either come to shoulder of justice or coming to the butcher. Nice. In this scenario, I've done a horrible shot on Mike and he sprawled on me and I got to do something about it. I got to get out of there, right? So I came in, I did a horrible shot and he stuffed me, boom, and he ended up sprawled over top, okay? Now, the key to this, again, is elbow control, okay? So I want to pick a side, and let's just say for argument's sake, I got this side. I need to make sure I control this elbow, okay? It's probably not going to be feasible for me to reach up and control with my arm, so I'm just going to sneak up and pinch it here by pinching my lat, okay? Now the other hand goes to his opposite leg, and I want to make sure I have a grip here. Now the important bit is I have to build up just a little bit to get up on my toes. Now I'm going to do that sit-up drill we talked about where this leg shoots through this way. And as I do, Jake, I want you to come over here. It's very important that I get my head out and I start looking up. I need to be pinching here. I need to sit up. I need to get my head out and look up. The more I can get my head up top and bear some of the weight with my ear to his back, the better this is going to be. All right, so from here, I'm now going to pivot over this knee and come to my own hip to hip. All right, so one more time. I'm taking a crappy shot. Mike sprawls on me. Boom. I need to make sure that I somehow control this elbow. Pinching. All right, if I can just grab the wrist, that's fine too. But I need to make sure that he can't post out this way. Okay, I'm controlling here. Other hand is reaching his opposite leg, and I'm driving up just a little bit to get up to my toes. It's going to be very tough to do for my knees. Now, this leg is going to sit through. My head has to peek up, and I have to look up. The more I can make Mike carry my weight by putting my weight through my ear into his back, the better. From here, I'm going to step over and come to my own hip to hip.